We wanted interesting feeds after last season. Last season, it was so boring right away because we knew everything that was going to happen for the rest of the season on day two, and it was not exciting at all to watch. So, we wanted some crazy feeds. And oh boy, have we gotten them. I mean, this is the first thing I wrote because it was the best analogy I could think of. In the uh, in the Spielberg directed, Tom Cruise starring version of War of the Worlds. Um, the only part of that movie that I really remember is the part where Tom Cruise and his family see a flaming runaway train go right by them. And that's what Frenchie is. He is a flaming runaway train on fire. He's just out of control, and wherever he lands, it's gonna hurt someone. But he's just like Frenchie got probably the worst case of HOH itis ever. I mean, I don't even know if we should call it HOH itis anymore. We should just call it the Frenchie because that is how mad with power he has gotten. And it's still week one. Today is day 7 for them. And believe me, there is a lot about Frenchie I want to talk about, but as as messy as he's been, there's one more person that I want to talk about first because someone really crossed a line, like beyond the game, and it's Whitney. Now, on my last stream, I talked about how I'm just going to be rooting against Whitney purely out of spite because a Whitney Stan account insulted me. So that was just me being petty. But now, this is me actively rooting against Whitney genuinely because she, who is a mother, by the way, does not believe that Sandy Hook happened. Now, some people are like, well, we don't know for sure. We didn't hear her say that. We heard Claire say that. Why would Claire make that up? Seriously. Why would Claire make that up when we have seen that Whitney has a very gun heavy TikTok? Claire doesn't know that. So she couldn't make it up for that reason to try to turn people against her. No. It makes no sense why Claire would make that up. It is way more believable, especially in this day and age, with the proliferation of that kind of conspiracy theory, that Whitney actually said that. Okay? I 100% believe she said it. And it's not okay. Not even a little bit okay that she said that. I mean, just like I said, Whitney has 2 sons. She's talked about them a lot. She's playing for them. And I just want to look at her and say, like, what if you lost, God forbid, you lost your children and you lost them 9 years ago, and still 9 years later, you still have to deal with people telling you that it didn't happen, that they don't believe you, that your loss, your pain, the tragedy you endured wasn't real. Like, do you know how damaging this lie has been to people? Because it's it's incredibly unacceptable that Whitney said that, and I'm I will never say a single nice thing about her while I'm here. She is dead to me. As soon as she's gone, the better. I will laugh when she's evicted. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about Whitney. Now I can actually get back to the game. Um, I guess I'll get back to Frenchie because he's the star of the show. He's running everything, and he's with everybody. And it's like it's crazy. And Ever since he got close to Brent, like I said before, I don't like the way Brent talks to and about the people of color in the house. That is starting to rub off on Frenchie ever since they became buddies. Because a lot of people have been pointing out that Frenchie has said a lot of microaggressions towards Kyland and also Xavier to an extent, but especially Kyland. And to me, like, these aren't even really microaggressions. They're aggressions. Like, he keeps telling, what did he say to Kylan? Like, calm down when he was like, no, hold on. No, hold on. He said, like, he took something Kylan said as, like, are you threatening me? And it's like, dude, no. That is pure gaslighting behavior. And it's just like, he's with most of the house on this whole thing about Derek X. Like, he just keeps trying to condescend to him. Like, that part of Brent has really rubbed off on him too. And like, just okay. Here's another thing for Kyland. Travis called him crazy man because of the way Kyland, like, he has, I think, ADHD. So he sometimes has trouble finishing sentences. Like, he can't really like process it completely and get it all out at once. And I have that problem sometimes myself, to be honest. And Travis called him crazy man because of that. And that's not okay. That is really not, especially after last season, after everything that they said about Ian. Like, are we really doing this again? It's like, what would you people talk about if you weren't bigoted? It's so frustrating for me. Kyland is, I mean, I don't think ADHD is technically on the spectrum. I forget, like, if that is part of it, but he's neurodivergent. And just to talk about him like that is not okay. It really isn't, and it shows me that Travis is not as smart as he thinks he is. Like, he's like, oh, I'm educated, I make a lot of money, but like, you have no, like, you have no concept of the right way to talk about people. Like, you don't know what certain people go through in their minds. Like, let me tell you something. I can tell you firsthand. When your mind is a little funky, you are a little funky. Take it from me. I'm a little funky because my mind's a little funky. And it's it's like, I don't want this. I said this about Brittany when it turned out that she was on the spectrum. Like, I don't want this season to just be another, or have another instance of, like, with Memphis talking about Ian the way he did last season. I don't want that to happen again because I don't think I can handle it. Now, uh, there was a lot of upsetting things that I wanted to talk about first. But I guess now, 9.5 minutes into this stream, I should probably talk about some of the results. Well, first of all, it seemed like Derek X was the target, but he won the veto, which yeah, since my last stream, I knew that that happened. And I will say, like, Derek X, like, I'm glad he has the veto. Like, I'm glad he saved himself, but he is making somewhat of a mess of his own in some regards. Like, well, he said, first off, that he'd use the veto on Kyland, and that Travis was apparently going to be the replacement. And first of all, Derek X told Travis that he was going to be the replacement, and I'm like, well, what happened to a good old fashioned blindside? Huh? BB17 just watched it last week, is when I finished. and Austin getting blindsided. That was the greatest thing ever. And then Rachel getting blindsided in BB20. Like she just grabbed her bag and walked out the door. Didn't even say bye to anybody. Like those were awesome moments. Why can't we do those anymore? Why can't we blindside people? It's pre-jury, you know? Who cares? They're not gonna decide your fate. So just like I didn't like that Derek X was telling Travis that he was about to be the replacement. I'm like, dude, you're gonna give Travis more motivation to try and save himself. At least that's what I thought. And also another part of the mess Derek X made was that he was very unclear who he would save. Like he said a lot of different things to various people, and a lot of people told him various things. So that might have been part of it. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at Derek X, and I'm just like trying to telepathically tell him, play your game, play your game, not theirs. That's all I wanted. I just wanted Derek X to do the right thing for his game, whatever it turned out to be. I was hoping that since it seemed like he went to Kyland first and he's had the closest relationship with Kyland between Kyland and Alyssa, I'm like, okay, just honor your deal with Kyland and use the veto on him. But like it was going back and forth so much, we didn't know what exactly was going to happen, and we still didn't know 100% who was going to be the replacement nominee until it happened. Like there was some talk about Hannah going up, and I think there was some talk about Claire too. But ultimately, Derek X kept his word, and he used the veto on Kyland. And Travis did end up being the replacement. And just for a moment, I felt a wave of relief. Like, okay, maybe this week we'll actually have a good ending. That was what I thought for a moment. By the way, I don't know if you can tell, it's a little faded, but my shirt is it says Crush and it's orange, so it's Orange Crush. So what am I drinking today, you ask? You got it. Grape Crush. I figured, if I want to be as chaotic as Frenchie, then maybe I should do something ridiculous like that. That was my thought process. But yes, that sip was a sassy sip because um, it didn't last long. That relief I felt because Frenchie, or as I've taken to calling him, Chump-Elysees, because of the famous street in Paris, Champs-Elysees. A lot of people were calling him like French toast, French vanilla, French onion soup, French fries. But I'm like, I want to think of one on my own. And I saw people calling him Paris and Eiffel Tower. So like, come on, what else in Paris could I call him? And then it hit me, the Champs-Elysees, and he's acting like a chump. So, Chump-Elysees. Yeah. So yeah, I call Frenchie Chump-Elysees now. So Chump-Elysees, he said beforehand that he didn't like big alliances, just like he said he didn't like meatheads, and he didn't want to nominate a woman or a person of color week one. So what does he do? He makes an 8-person alliance. 8-person alliance. Yep. We got another Grateful on our hands. But, if you can believe it, this one is actually a little bit worse. I mean, it is more ethnically diverse. It does have Derek F. and Xavier and Kyland in it. I think Xavier. Yeah, Xavier's in it. But he also has 2 of the meatheads, Brent and Christian. Like, Christian was his target. Like, am I the only one who remembers this? But right there, that's 6 men in an 8-person alliance. And who are the two women that are in the alliance? Alyssa, who is currently sitting on the block because of Frenchie, and Whitney, who has done like the least amount of socializing and connecting with people. Like, I would not be surprised if there are people in that house that Whitney has not said 5 words to. She has done the least socializing. You never see her on the feeds. Like, she's never involved in any game talk. And yet here she is in this super alliance after doing nothing. Whereas women like Azza and Tiffany and Claire, to an extent, their social games are so on point. And they're making connections with everybody. Everybody loves them. They're not in this alliance. No. No. It's 6 men. And you know what? I'll say it. Alyssa has done the second least real socializing of the women in the house. Like, she didn't really start talking to people until she was nominated. Like, she just hung out with a few people. And now all of a sudden she's in the big alliance. And I'm just like, I probably would not have liked an 8-person alliance, period. But this 8-person alliance, no. No, 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 no. I mean, Frenchie has 3 of his targets in this group. 3 people that he has targeted this week. Christian was his initial target. And before that, Brent even. So he has 4 people in his alliance that he has targeted. At first, he was targeting Brent, but then changed his mind because he connected with him. Then he decides to start to target Christian, and Christian wins immunity, so he can't target him. So then he decides to put up Kylan and Alyssa. And during their time, when they were both on the block, he was saying, let's let Kylan go. Let's let Alyssa go. Like, he said that about both of them at one point or another. And now here they are. This 4 people that he was just targeting, he is now working with. I mean, there is that part of me that is trying to hold out hope that option A, Frenchie brought them in to make them think he trusts them now, and he's secretly working against them, and he's going to get them out without them coming for him. Like, he'll try to rely on some of his other connections in the house, like with Tiffany, to take out some of the rest of this alliance he has made. And then option B, what I'm hoping for. I hope that the people that were targeted by Frenchie and knew they were being targeted, which is Christian, Kylan, and Alyssa. I mean, Christian knew, he figured out he was being targeted. He's like, I'm going to go up if I don't win immunity for myself. And he was right. And then Kylan and Alyssa were just straight up nominated by Frenchie. So there is a part of me that is hoping that the 3 of them, Brent didn't really know he was a target when he connected with Frenchie. But the other 3, Christian, Kylan, Alyssa, I sincerely hope that they are working against him in secret. I mean, maybe not together, but like, maybe they're just like playing nice with him, but then they're like, one day, Frenchie, I'm going to get you. Like, I want this alliance to fall apart. At least Grateful somewhat fell apart in BB21. Like, Jackson and Holly went off and did their own thing, and then Tommy and Christy did their own thing. But even they weren't really against each other for a while. And they just sort of let the remnants of that alliance just get cannibalized by the house. And yeah, I hope that's happening. But honestly, I don't think either of those options are going to come true. Excuse me. I believe in my heart of hearts, and I don't want this to be in my heart of hearts or any of the hearts in my hearts, that Frenchie, Christian, Kyland, and Alyssa are now genuinely working together. That is my honest prediction. All three of them, they're they're like all all three of them are like this with Frenchie now. Yeah, and I just it's not sitting right with me. Just seeing it's still week one. We've already got this giant alliance, and I'm still a little on edge from last season when we knew on day two who the final seven were going to be. Like the committee formed, and then they were all really close with Enzo, and it's like, okay, obviously the committee and Enzo are going to be the final seven, and they were. It's just like for all Frenchie's talk, for all Chump-Elysees' talk about how that went, how that kind of thing has gone, the big alliances, how he doesn't like them. He sure changed his mind quick once he won power. And I see a lot of people are like, oh, Frenchie, he's just made such a mess. He's going home week two. And I'm like, people, he's not going home week two. I would love it if he did. I think that would be hilarious. But it's not happening. Okay? Mark my words. It will not happen. Frenchie is not going next. And you know what? I'm going to go even further. Frenchie is going to make it to minimum fourth place. Minimum fourth place for Frenchie. Because, like, I have watched 6 seasons of the show now, 17 through 22. And of those first HOHs, all of them have made jury. And two of them went on to win. And then Tyler, he was the first HOH in BB20. He came in second. Also, Jackson was not the first HOH of BB21, but he won a huge power in the first competition of BB21. The camp counselor, he got to banish 4 people from the house. One of them, well, I was about to say permanently, but David did get a second chance with camp comeback. But yeah, he arguably got more power than the first HOH because he got to pick 4 people that were straight up out of the game, like they were out of the house. I mean, they said they were out of the game, but like that's kind of a loose meaning. So yeah, it's just all the first HOHs are the first people to win power. Like they go far. It's like they're elected the mayor of the BB house. Well, no, hold on. Let me take that back. The HOH is like the mayor, but the first HOH becomes like the president, and they don't go for the president. They just like let him run the house, even when someone else is the mayor or sitting in the HOH spot. So, yeah, I would love it. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see Frenchie go next. I would love to see the house conspire against him and get him out for just being so insane and unpredictable and for going back on his word so many times. But I don't see it happening. I think they have all decided that they want to work with Frenchie. Yeah. Hold on, let me fix my hair. Here here is how confident I am that Frenchie is not going next. That he is not going to be the second person evicted from the Big Brother house. So one of my other favorite shows, in fact, if I'm being honest, it's a show I like more than Big Brother because it never causes me this much stress and high blood pressure. Um, the show is Guy's Grocery Games, or Triple G. I love it. It's so much fun. Guy Fieri's so much fun. And, like, if you don't know the show, what he does is he brings in these chefs into a supermarket and they have to shop around the store while playing various crazy games that Guy has come up with, like with certain things they can't use, or they'll have like a budget. Just there's all kinds of different games. But they have to go through the store, find what they need, and then they have to cook the best dish they can possibly make within the theme of whatever the challenge is. And sometimes that grocery store, it has some weird stuff in it, and sometimes Guy forces them to use this weird stuff. And there was one episode, it was bacon themed, and there was some kind of bacon thing. Maybe was the whole episode bacon themed, or was it just a challenge? I don't know. Anyway, there was like a thing. I think it was like a wheel he spun or something, and it was various bacon products, and one of them was bacon soda. Bacon soda. They didn't land on it, so it wasn't used. But I've just been thinking about it ever since. Like, what kind of person would possibly create bacon soda? Like, who is this for? Like, I'm drinking grape soda right now. Grapes, yeah, you get juice out of grapes. Like, I understand how grape can be a flavor for soda. How can you do it with bacon? And I've just been like, I don't really want to know the answer to that question. I don't want to try it for myself. But here's how confident I am that Frenchie is not going to be the second person evicted. If he is, if Frenchie does leave the house second, I will drink bacon soda. Okay? I will. I'll do it. I will get it somewhere or order it online and I will go on stream and I will drink it. And I don't just mean I'll take a sip, say this is disgusting, and pour the rest down the sink. No. I'm going to drink the whole thing. The whole thing. Right on stream. Yeah. That is how confident I am that Frenchie is not going home next. Just something on my screen right now. Let me just take care of that. Okay. So that is my official wager. If Frenchie leaves second week, I will drink bacon soda. I feel like the only way he'd even be targeted is maybe if Derek X won. But even then, I'm not sure he'd want to go against Frenchie. I feel like he'd try to work with him too. And yeah, I'm gonna go back to Derek X now. Um, the whole house is against him. I'm still not sure what he did to make them all hate him as much as they do, but everybody is talking about targeting him. Even people who are like just kind of they're not really in the big groups. They're all just like, yeah, I think I'll just target Derek X. Like some people have said that he's not their main target, but they put him up, and I'm just like, well, if the whole house wants him gone, then he's gonna go. So I think maybe we should all start preparing ourselves for Derek X leaving next week. I think he'll be the second one evicted. I mean, if neither he nor anyone in his group wins the next HOH, then he's done. Unless he can win another veto. But yeah, I think HOH and veto are the only things that those are Derek X's only chances of winning. And a lot of people have been coming around to him. A lot of people feel bad for him at this point because he's just like getting ganged up on by everybody. And I admit, I do feel a little bad for him because like I have started to gain some evidence that he really did kind of do something to get the house turned against him. Like he really did kind of go against his group to an extent, but I mean, everyone in his group is doing their own thing to some extent. I mean, that's the game. You know, Derek X's group is Whitney, who's the captain, Brent, and Hannah. And Whitney and Brent are now in the slaughterhouse with Chump-Elysees. And Hannah, she is she's in one of the girl groups, the all girl groups. I forget which one. I think is she in the jackpots? Or is that I don't know. There's a few all women alliances that have formed. And I think Tiffany is actually in all three of them. And like I said, her social game is mm, chef's kiss. She is she is doing well. Um, I have heard a few people mentioning that they probably throw the next HOH competition. Like I feel like Tiffany said she's gonna throw it. I think Ozza said she's gonna throw it. I think Claire said it. So that is good for Derek X. That gives him less competitors. It gives him a better chance of taking it for himself. But it depends on what the competition is. Of course, it all comes down to that. Um, okay, so there was one other thing I wanted to talk about with Alyssa as well. Um, Here's why I think she is with Frenchie solidly now, even though he just nominated her. I think she's in the big alliance now, and I think she's working with him, and I think she's going to stay loyal to him because I'm starting to get, pardon me, I am starting to get some vibes that indicate this might be a relationship between the two of them, like what Tyler had with Sam in BB20. So, like Tyler, like I said earlier, he won the first HOH that season. He put up Sam and Steve, and it looked like Sam was the more likely of the two to go. But then Tyler was like, "Nah, I think I want Steve to go instead." So, he got in close with Sam to make her feel more at ease, even though like he just nominated her. And and then she ended up staying, and from that point on, she was fully loyal to him. Like when she won HOH, he he never crossed her mind. Like she would talk to him, she'd be close to him while she was HOH, if I recall correctly, and she was loyal to him until the end when she realized that he didn't have her back. Like once she stopped being useful to him, he stopped trying to protect her, and then she ended up in fifth place. And it's like, well, you know what, Tyler, maybe you should have let her go week one. Who knows? If Steve made it to jury, maybe he would have voted for you to win. Just saying. And you know, if Frenchie, again, he claims to be a super fan. If he's the super fan he says he is, then he should be thinking about stuff like this. He should be thinking about making these kinds of promises to people so early on. I mean, he has made connections with everybody in the house. So if he isn't in the final, then someone whose word, someone whose trust he broke, like he broke his word to them, they're going to be in the jury and they're going to be like, I don't like that you did that. And I think that's what's going to happen with Alyssa. I think she's going to cozy up to him. She's going to think that he has her back, and then he's going to cut her loose when he no longer needs her. That's what I think is in her future in the Big Brother house. But if she makes it to jury, that'll probably work against him. If she is like Sam, it will. But at this point, it's looking like Travis is going to be the one to go. And I will say this: in the seasons that I have seen, the person who survives the first live eviction, the first official live eviction, makes it to jury. BB17, it was Jackie who was nominated next to Jace for the first eviction. Jace was evicted, Jackie made jury. BB18, the first. I know Glenn was the first one to go, but the first official live eviction was Josiah, and he was on the block with Paulie and Bridget, and they both made jury. BB19, after Cody had to nominate a third of the house, uh, on the first official eviction night, it was Jillian and Christmas. Jillian went home, Christmas made jury. BB20, like I said, Steve was evicted first, Sam made jury. BB21, Ovi was evicted at the first live eviction, Kat made it to jury. Last season, Keisha, first live eviction and first eviction, and Kevin made it to jury. So, you know, just historically, sitting on the block on the first live eviction is not the worst thing for your game, because just that's 6 seasons in a row that whoever was there made it to jury. So if Alyssa does survive, and it's looking like she's going to, she's probably going to be here till jury. All right. Now, I haven't checked any updates since I started this stream, so now I'm going to go through some updates. Oh, okay. Now, now I guess I read it wrong before. Now Ozza says she does want HOH, and I'm here for it. I like her. Like, all the guys in the house are just pining over Alyssa. And don't get me wrong, Alyssa is very pretty, but Ozza, like, she is more than pretty to me. She just has this glow, this aura. Like, Ozza isn't just externally beautiful. Like, she is. She's very beautiful. But she's beautiful on the inside, and like her inner beauty just like it 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 glows. Like, I sound like such a simp for Ozza right now, but like I look at her and just the way she carries herself, she's got like such a just her vibe, her groove. Like, she's not just a beautiful person, she's a beautiful spirit. And I'm here for it. So yeah, that's That's the main reason why Ozza so far is my biggest crush of the season. And I would love to see her win HOH, just to see her win. But the downside of Ozza winning is that Frenchie will be immune next week because I'm at least the implication I got is that for the first few weeks, whoever the HOH is, their group is safe for the week. So yeah, it's I would love to see Ozza winning, but it definitely does come with a catch. So there is that to consider. Uh, oh yeah, Derek X and Tiffany, they're getting close. Like it's a shame that Tiffany doesn't want to win HOH because she's the only one that would definitely save him. I think. Oh God, no, he didn't. Alyssa and Brent are talking about like who their types are. Alyssa asked Brent who he thinks Claire's type is, and Brent said that he was. Dude, have you ever met a mirror? Like, forget the old expression is, have you ever met a mirror you didn't like? Well, with him, has he ever met a mirror that didn't bow down and worship him? My God, this guy's a narcissist. All right, that was just what was on my timeline. Now I'm looking up for the feeds. Uh, Shout out to Nerdtainment. She is my number one Big Brother source. Her name's Sarah. She's awesome. I've shouted her out before. So Sarah, if you're watching, hi again. I waved, but it wasn't on camera. Sorry. Oh, now Derek X is telling Tiffany that he might have made a mistake with how he used the veto. He should have tried to keep Kyland and Travis by keeping noms the same. And Tiffany's pointing out, like, he was in trouble either way. Team would have been against him, Frenchie would have been against him, Kai would have been against him. Tiffany's so understanding. I love it. Travis is saying that he might say something crazy. Well, Derek X said that Travis told him that he might say something crazy during his eviction speech. Like he wants to do it to help Derek X, and I'm like, that would be awesome. Hmm. Derek X is pointing out that if he says Frenchie, it would blow back on Derek X, and I'm like, are you sure, really? Like, here's what Travis can do. He can say Frenchie promised me safety week one, and here I am sitting on the block on eviction night. Like that's the truth. And Derek X has nothing to do with that. They weren't even in the same group. Travis seems to think he has the votes to stay. He says he has four to stay, but he needs three more. Kylan is saying, but Kylan's saying like the closer we get to it, it might switch because, you know, Frenchie doesn't stick with one thing for long, so it could change. So okay, it does make sense that Travis's group, which is Kyland, Claire, and Tiffany, right? Yeah, Tiffany. They'll probably vote to keep him, just because that's one less person in their group if he goes home. So that would make sense. Well, Kylan says he's going to vote with the House. Yay! We all love that. God, it's like every contestant forgets the votes are unanimous, and no one can prove anything. And rogue votes clearly happen. They happen all the time. Ozza says she wouldn't go after um, Kylan's group if they do let Travis go. So there's that. Kylan says he'll throw it to another member of the cookout if he's in that if he's in the position to do so. Ozza's saying she doesn't mind getting the blood on her hands. Kylan's like, if Travis goes and you or Tiffany win HOH and take out another guy, that could be good overall. And I think so. I think so. And Ozza says in exchange, like, if another guy goes next week, then she'll start letting the guys get HOH so they can go after a couple of the girls. And I hope that includes Whitney because, F Whitney in this house. All right, that was just me reading off BB updates, getting myself up to date. All right. Well, I've been talking now for almost 50 minutes. I think that'll do it. Uh, I got a lot off my chest, which I really wanted to do because I have had some thoughts these last few days, and very few of them have been good. Like, yes, Travis is nominated. That's pretty good because, you know, he's boring. But as with most seasons of Big Brother, joy can be very fleeting. I just want this week to have a Jessica BB21 HOH week. Like, that week was just like, it was almost a fan fiction with how perfectly it went. Jessica won HOH and veto. Mickey and Jack were on the block. I know I've gone back and forth between Jackson and Mickey, between what I call them, but like I don't care enough about them to remember what to call them. But yeah, she put them on the block. She won the veto, and they stayed on the block. And then Jack went, and on top of everything, during the veto competition, it was like the the BB swap thing, and the Jacks and Tommy ended up with punishments. Like, you couldn't have written it better. Like, we ate so good that week, and I want that again. Just and if we get even 1 week that is like Jessica's HOH, then it will officially be better than last season, without a doubt. But yes, that will do it for this Big Brother stream. It's a shame no one showed up, but maybe someone will show up on YouTube and comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello. But yes, that'll do it for this video, and I will see you next time.